Hey YouTube folks, so today I am starting off our video somewhere a little bit different. I'm actually in downtown Portland right now, and the reason I'm in downtown Portland, no, I'm not crazy, I'm just in front of the Portland Outdoor Store. And the reason I am is because this is an iconic place in Portland for all things cowboy. Boots, hats, saddles. If you want something cowboy, you come get it here. I mean, look at how cool that freaking sign is. Rodeo. And I just think that that's an amazing intro for our video, talking about how cowboys are iconic in America and why that's maybe not so cool anymore. Let's get into the video. Hello YouTube folks, welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Lucy Claire and I am a super record enthusiast, all things music history nerd, and I am so excited that you decided to join us. If you are a subscriber of mine, thank you for coming back. Let's get into the video. Alright vinyl folks, welcome back to the Record Corner. We've been here a few times. Today our musical history fun fact has something to do with something you might know a lot about, and that is the Titanic. Our music history fun fact for this week is that the London Symphonic Orchestra was booked to be on the Titanic on its maiden voyage. They got booked on another show on a different boat at a different time and nearly missed sinking on the Titanic. It would have been hard to find hirees after that. I definitely wouldn't sign up. Alright, with our music history fun fact for the week taken care of, let's head back to Lucy to talk about cowboy culture. Today we are talking about the image of the cowboy, which America is so in love with, and I am not outside of this trend. I have plenty of cowboy-esque things. I have my own set of cowboy boots. I have a jacket with the Marlboro Man on it that you may have seen on my Instagram this week. Quick plug for myself. That's obnoxious. Sorry about that. Today we are talking about the cowboy and how the image that America has of the cowboy may be a little bit too much, and we might need to hold our horses. Pardon the pun. I also want to say as a disclaimer that this video is not meant to offend anyone who actually participates in cowboy life. If you are working on a ranch somewhere or you're working class people, I am not trying to come at you in any way. This video is going to be split into 3 different parts. The first 2 parts will be things that I think you should think about when you are considering perpetuating this stereotype about American cowboys and their current place in our culture. And then the third part is going to be me roasting myself. I'm just gonna take all of the cowboy memorabilia that I can find in my life and show it to you, and we are gonna go through together why it may be a little problematic. Or maybe it's not problematic, but I'm pretty sure it will be. I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, so the first point that I wanna make is that cowboys have been completely whitewashed, okay? The original cowboys were actually Mexican. Okay, I'm gonna let that sink in for a moment. Yes, they were not white men. They were originally called vaqueros. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. The word is derived from vaca, which means cow. They were basically like herders and ranch hands, and they lived nomadic lives. Throughout the 1700s and 1800s, they eventually worked their way up geographically to states like Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and California. In America, as you can imagine, that symbol quickly eroded into something that only white people wanted to see white people doing. I mean, most of the outfits that we think of as Western, most of the designs, most of the lifestyle, that all comes from vaqueros who are of native Mexican descent. That's why when you see all these Levi ads and these Stetson ads and these Wrangler ads that have just white people in them, it's super, super misleading. We need to disassociate the cowboy from this sense of whiteness. Cowboys were of lots of different ethnic backgrounds. I don't think that the idea of cowboy can be confined to one racial group, and so I think it's our responsibility as a culture to address this when we see this image becoming super popular. So that's my first point. My second point is that the American cowboy is always presented in this dichotomy of cowboys versus Indians. No, we have to stop that. It's a thing of the past. Say goodbye to it. As a South Asian myself, It is completely wrong to call someone an Indian who is of Native American descent. Unless a Native American person calls themselves an Indian American, you cannot call them that. That's just not cool. A lot of the images that we consume about cowboys from the 20th century are steeped in this sort of violent and this violent and racist imagery of Native Americans. I just don't think that toughness and romance and the things that we admire about our cultural depiction of the cowboy are enough to make, racist depictions of Native Americans okay. It's just not cool, and we have to really, really, really work on it as people who love vintage things, music, and clothes. I also think that the American cowboy has sort of somehow encouraged this toxic masculinity and this love of violence. I feel like we should really take a long, hard look at that and think about how we might be affecting young men when we depict cowboys as this rough and tough and appropriate version of manhood, when, yeah, sure, it's one version, but there's also plenty of other versions that are just as good. I think that we should try to stray ourselves away from this depiction of men as having to be sort of violent and brash. You don't have to be that way. Actually, I think most people would prefer it if you weren't. Now, the next part of this is I'm going to roast myself. I made this video because I'm sort of fascinated by Western culture, and I really like the style of dressing and country music and, all the things that sort of come packaged in with this cowboy culture. I myself can sometimes be caught in this struggle thinking I really like these songs, but I really, really don't like the images that they're projecting. I kind of want to make this video just because I feel like maybe there are a lot of young people struggling with this dichotomy. So first things first, kind of what inspired this video is this album that I have. It is the Bicentennial Series version of The American Cowboy. And it is a Peter Pan record for children, which goes through the lifestyle of the American cowboy and what it means to be a cowboy in the American West. I have to say that I'm actually pretty proud of this record, that it at least mentions on the back a story about Bill Pickett, who was a black cowboy and a member of the Miller Brothers 101 Ranch Wild West show. So there is some historical accuracy and some research put into this piece. And when I listened to it, I actually was really taken aback by the level of production that they put on this record, even if it was meant for kids. They did have a lot of the sounds. I guess they were trying to make a point about living like on the range. Now, whether that depiction is accurate or not, I have no idea, but I would hope that they were being responsible in the ways that they were depicting the cowboy. Now, I'm not going to roast myself too much for this one in particular, but it is Elvis Sings Flaming Star. There's an extreme romanticization of Texas on this album, which I think comes to a point that Texas is not the only place where there were cowboys, even though we do still think of it as the cowboy capital of America. I think there is a lot to be said for depictions of cowboys outside of Texas, but I do know that there is like this form of art that a lot of artists in the 60s and 70s, and I suppose the 50s, that would imitate different characters. Their albums are kind of based off those characters. So it seems like Elvis Sings Flaming Star is one of those albums. That is all I have for you today. I may try to root around a little bit more in my collection and in my general life to see if there is anything that can be included in this list. I might post them over on my Instagram, which again, I will put on the screen. Mostly I'm just making this video because I feel like it needs to be said. I haven't seen any videos about this. I actually searched for them on the internet to see if anyone was saying anything, and I didn't see a single thing. So I decided to make one, and because a lot of us here are music history buffs, it is really important for us to be the voice of change because we love vintage things and hopefully we don't love vintage values. Anyway, Thanks for watching till the end of this video, friend. If this is your first time here and you've watched all the way to the end, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss a single video that is coming from my channel. I really enjoyed having this chat with y'all, and my 100 subs video is coming. It will be at the end of November, so keep your eye out for that video. With that, thank you, and I'll see you next week.